Carrie. I am the head of Bosque School, and it is my honor to Shaw, the most important Shaw person here. And I am going to turn it over to an alumni parent of Bosque School, most importantly, and the City of Albuquerque Director of Parks and Rec, Dave Simon, for an introduction.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. First, I just want to say you're probably kind of wondering why we're all here in Buttiger Hall. Buttiger Hall is, to me, the place where like really important things happen at the Bosque School. So that's why we're here. But before we get started, I would just like to say I understand today was an in-service day for the faculty, right? First day back to school, everybody. And let's get a big round of applause for the awesome faculty here at Bosque. So they helped Ann and I, my wife Ann is here with our oldest daughter, both of whom are graduates of Bosque, and we attribute a lot, or some of their success to their hard work and to the support of Bosque School. Now, to the main event. You are probably unknown, somewhat surprised, but some of you are very much in the know. You are going to be participants in a flash mob honoring of Dan Shaw. Okay, now, this is going to be great. I don't want anybody to go anywhere. I think you should stay for the whole thing. It's going to be worth it. And the only thing I'm going to say now before I turn it back over to your fantastic head of school is the following. Dan, I know you really don't like this. And he's already in that mode. But I just want to say a little Dan Shaw at you, buddy. Suck it up.
So Dan Shaw is the longest tenured faculty member, we call it here at Bosque School, staffalty member in Bosque's history. He was the 7th person hired. Am I getting that right, Dan? Second, why did I have 7th? Second person hired when Bosque School was created as a vision. And so there has never been a Bosque School without Dan Shaw. And when the school was started, it was housed in a church basement up in the Northeast Heights. And we were named Bosque School very coincidentally without any connection to this land, to this place, and to the incredible commitment to environmental education and stewardship that would come from the partnership of Dan Shaw, Cliff Crawford, and Kim Eichhorst in the creation of the Bosque Ecosystem Monitoring Project, BEMP, which has always been part of Bosque's DNA. So, like many of you, my first engagement with Bosque School was through Dan Shaw. And for many years, I was working at a different school in Albuquerque, and I would bring students down to the Bosque, and I would often run into Dan. I'd run into students that were doing really meaningful science that matters beyond the classroom in the Bosque. And Dan was always just that consistent person who I knew and I always attributed Bosque to. And when I've talked to so many alumni, students, parents, families about what was their first connection to Bosque School, why did they come to Bosque School, you can imagine that the most consistent common denominator is Dan Shaw. And the number of people who said, I came onto campus, he was the first face I met, he was the first energy I experienced, he was jumping around with a stuffed porcupine, or taking my child down to the water, and just exciting them so much about the power of education, and again, just the power of meaningful, relevant, and applied science. So many of the students, of the family, of the community members, of the staffalty who have been part of Bosque's 32 years are part of it because of Dan Shaw. And in the work that was done, in Dan's work, in Cliff's work, and in Kim's work in creating BEMP, my first year I was part of celebrating the 100,000th bumper event. So over 100,000 people had contact with BEMP. And at that point, Deb Haaland, now one of our governor candidates, was here to celebrate. We had media. We had a huge celebration, walk down to the river. Since that point, 7 years ago, Kim has told me we're now over 140,000 people who have had access to the Bosque and to environmental education and to having a deep commitment to agency and advocacy for our environment, which so desperately needs it right now, as we know, looking at it, how dry our river is. So thanks to Dan's commitment, Cliff and Kim, so many people have had their introduction to the Bosque. Dan has also helped carry forth a core element of the BEMP program, which is exposure of as many students as possible who might not otherwise have access to this kind of hands-on applied education. And in recent years, he has been leading a field and community science program here at Bosque that, through private donor support, has brought over 1,200 students a year for many years now to Bosque's campus. Majority of those students are coming from Title I schools, and they're having an opportunity to engage in hands-on science, often alongside of Bosque School student leaders. And that is a vision that comes from Dan and is guided and led by Dan. Another thing that Dan has done outside of the field science realm is he is the supporter of Bosque's Medical Reserve Corps program, which is the first and the only of its kind in the entire country that provides opportunities for high school students to be trained and licensed as medical first responders, licensed as first responders in the state of New Mexico, and work on behalf of Bosque's EMS agency that Dan was instrumental in helping create, so that we can help contribute in positive ways to a critical healthcare professional shortage in our state. And again, that would never have happened without Dan Shaw. Finally, Dan came to us with a history as a firefighter, and were it not for Dan's connections and his expertise, Bosque's campus might not stand here today. There was a horrific fire in the Bosque in 2003, and Dan was on the front line along with so many first responders, helping ensure that our campus was protected, that our first responders were housed and cared for in our school gym, and just making sure that this Bosque can be treated with as much health and dignity as it needs to be able to thrive. And there's never been a time where that's more needed. And then finally, because that's not enough of a resume and a list of accomplishments, Dan also was the coach behind Bosque's 3-time state championship cross-country team, and he helped put Bosque on the map athletically in our early years through coaching, along with Kathy, an incredibly successful cross-country program that continues today in his legacy. So, as I shared, when Bosque School was started, we were not started along the Bosque. We were started as a concept, as an idea that then moved up to a church basement in the Northeast Heights. But the name Bosque obviously just had an incredible, fortuitous opportunity for a school that now lives along the Bosque, and a school that is truly defined in its heart and soul by Dan Shaw. He is the heart and soul of Bosque School. He is the heart and soul of the Bosque, and he is so deeply deserving of this honor. Thank you, Dan.
I know you hate this, but we all love it. And you are so deserving. Thank you everyone so much for coming. My name is Kim Fike. I'm a field science educator here and soon to be wildlife teacher, inspired by the one and only Dan Shaw. Past Kim decided that she was going to write a poem for this. And now present Kim is like, oh my gosh, now I have to read it in front of everyone. It's not something I do very frequently, so embracing imperfection here. So here's some mushy-gushiness. I'll try not to tear. Here they are. They're already here. At dawn, you find your way to the edge of the Rio Grande. Rio, panting faithfully by your side, smelling the scent of early explorers. We are committed to not leaving our children with a dry river inheritance. Your words are not simply words, but they're a promise. Oh, I can't look at you.
Got this.
Thank you. Oh, hi, Sophie. They're a promise backed by a lifetime of serving the earth and her creatures. A promise backed by over 100,000 student scientists growing seeds of curiosity inspired by the tracks in the sand. The impact you've had on this place and to those kids and their hearts is best seen rather than said. It's seen by the dropping of jaws as they find their first porcupine in the tree. It's heard in the gasps of their breath as they watch the bald eagle soar overhead. And it's witnessed as they pick up the roly-poly beneath the leaves and oh so gently place it back down out of harm's way. You connect people to nature. You connect people to people. Just like the forest's mycelium connects root to root and tree to tree, you too form essential connections between us all. A network that cultivates resilience for both ourselves and for the Bosque you steward with such grace. You've always led, not from the front, but from beside, encouraging, believing, seeing potential in others long before they can see it in themselves. You offer your time, your patience, your knowledge, your canoes, your paddles, your PFDs. You foster a love of wild places through the excitement in your eyes and the ruffle of your mustache. Perhaps that is your greatest gift, not the programs you've created or the grants you've written or the awards you've received, but the sense of wonder that you've ignited in thousands of young hearts. As you collar the porcupine, snip the claw of a turtle, and measure the ear of a kangaroo rat, you inspire us all. Every rabbit in the brush, every bird on the morning breeze, and every student whose life you changed stands as living proof that one person with enough passion, drive, and love for the wild can inspire generations to speak for the river, to be her voice, her guardian, and her hope, to ensure that our children will not inherit a dry river. Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, rather tough to follow. Dan, I was asked to speak a little bit about the origins of BEMP, or the Bosque Ecosystem Monitoring Program, and how we got to where we are today. BEMP was actually started in 1996. We had funding from the National Science Foundation. We had a goal of 8 sites. It seemed very optimistic. And Dan was brought on as our educator, someone who was going to pilot the curriculum with his students, kind of develop the curriculum that went into the classroom. And right away, Dan became more than just a teacher brought on to BEMP, but a partner, a co-founder. He pushed us in directions that made BEMP possible, as struggling for funding is something that scientists aren't as good at as we would like to be. Dan not only went for funding, he brought on more schools. He demonstrated robustly that students, 6th graders, could collect data that could actually be used by land managers, that the students processing the data were actually helping to show the same sort of trends that our scientists in the field were showing. And beyond that initial partnership, he brought on Bosque School. And I will say, would not exist today if that partnership had not been the foundation for everything. The funding that was so critical to getting us started, to getting those 100,000 students out in the field, was because we had a stable partner in Bosque School and in Dan Shaw. So much of what we are is because Dan was so committed to bringing on students, to bringing on partners, to getting community involved, and to demonstrating that the data collected by BEMP were critical to the management decisions of the Rio Grande. And not only that, our porcupine logo is actually a drawing by Dan Shaw that we are super attached to. So, Dan, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine where I would be today. Nope. We were co-directors for many years, and it has been tough. It has been tough without you, and I thank you so much.
Hi everyone. Wow, these are amazing stories, and I'm not sure that I can quite be on par with them, as these are lifelong partners of the amazing Mr. Shaw. However, hi everyone. My name is Sophie Griego. I went to Bosque School from 6th grade to my senior year, and I graduated last year. And I had the privilege of meeting Mr. Shaw during my junior year. And what started as conversations about pencil toppers shaped like giraffes turned into a relationship that is one of the most important to me, that I cherish to this day. And Mr. Shaw has taught me to be a better person through the act of his lessons and through his actions. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned from him is how to be compassionate and thoughtful and mindful of others. And so today, Mrs. Fike asked us to share stories, personal stories about our time with Mr. Shaw, and mine is about one of our trips on the river. So for my senior thesis, I studied the river otter, and that included many trips, some with Mr. Shaw, some not, on the river, kayaking, camping, and hiking. And so there were a lot of grueling tasks. And one of those trips happened to fall on my birthday. So on my 17th birthday, we were on the river, and this was a particularly hard day. The river was pretty low. It was about 150 CFS. And so we had to step out of our kayaks and push them. And in Mr. Shaw's case, he had to step out of his giant canoe and push it along the Boney River. And we were actually pretty close to getting to camp by dark. The sun had started to set by the time that we saw camp in the distance. So luckily we made it to camp in time, but while there was still light out, and we took out some of our gear out of the gorge, left some of it down there because it's pretty hard. And Mr. Shaw, you wouldn't expect, but he actually carries the bulk of the labor when we're doing these trips. It's really, really difficult. So, so we got up to the top and we enjoyed a nice dinner, but everyone was tired. It was a grueling day. And as we're eating our dinner, it's tacos, it's perfect. Mr. Shaw tells me this story about Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. And so it's Piglet's birthday, just like mine. And Piglet had a balloon that popped. And Piglet was devastated. But Pooh, being the sweet individual that he is, much like Mr. Shaw, he made Piglet happy and turned that frown upside down. And now Piglet was happy, more than happy to have a pop balloon, more than when his balloon was full. And so after he tells me this story, he pulls out a deflated balloon from his back that he had found that day while we were setting hair snares. And so for my birthday, I got trash. But it wasn't the trash that was important. It was the people around me, and it was the thought and care behind the gift. And Mr. Shaw has always been that mindful and thoughtful, even during a grueling day with a bunch of tasks on hand and thinking about a million things. I happen to be one of those million thoughts. And he does that for every single one of his students and coworkers and people that he cares about, because that's just the type of man that Mr. Shaw is. And he's taught me to be the same way. So thank you for that, Mr. Shaw, and thank you for being an amazing mentor to me and to us all. And with that, I would like to give a big round of applause to the one and only old man, grandpappy, Danny Boy Shaw. Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Bosque School produces amazing things, and you can see it, on display here. So Dan, are you about done? Is that enough? He's reserving judgment. We're not finished. So many of you may realize that Bosque School is set really in a unique location. I know of very few educational institutions that are sited in a similar place to Bosque. And that is that the school sits adjacent to major public open space just across the ditch. It also happens to be designated as the Rio Grande Valley State Park, and it's also owned by the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District. Oh, and by the way, the Bureau of Reclamation also thinks they own it. So we really don't, we sort of, we have multiple partners in the Bosque. But the city of Albuquerque is charged with managing the Bosque under state law and agreements that we have with the state and with the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District. And of course, we take that as one of our highest duties as an organization, a department in the city that works for you. And I hope you would agree that what we do in the open space program is like worth it. I think it's one of the best things about Albuquerque. So we don't take it lightly, and we cherish the Bosque, and we cherish the relationship with the school. And when we do something, in the Bosque that changes it, it better be important. So we're on one of those days where we're going to do something important that I hope will stand a test of time. And that is today, we're very, very honored to be able to announce that we will be naming the trail system right here behind the school for Dan Shaw. So now he really doesn't like me. Now he's really mad at me. But there could not be a better spot to give Dan this honor. And we're also we have installed because it's Bosque School, we've installed an interpretive educational signage out on the trail, the first of what we hope will be a series of educational signs that teach people about their surroundings. So what I would like to do, recognizing that it is HOT outside, and nature is telling us something in little words, but I would like to invite all of you who feel able to join us on a short walk to cut the ribbon on the new Dan Shaw trail system and to see the sign. So this is a walk that will take us about 30 seconds. And if you're up for doing that, we'll be outside just briefly. And then those of you who are so motivated after we do that, you're welcome to stroll on the path that Dan has walked countless times and forced many, many children to run many, many, many times. And if you don't want to do that, I know that the school is inviting everyone to come back into Buttiger Hall, a little bit more temperate temperature in here, and to enjoy fellowship and each other's company. And I'm sure many of you have your own stories and memories of Dan.
Yeah, we have a few more.
And we have, yes, we have entertainment out at the ribbon cutting and at the sign, right? And
yeah, but if it's too hot, we can just come in here.
but I'm telling you, it's going to be worth it.
Yes.
All right? Who wants to go see the Dan Shaw Trail? Follow us. While we're on campus.
Unless you're part of
Where are the Kims? I had to do this last week too. I need my Kims. I would like to also recognize, in case you didn't notice, there's a bunch of people dressed in these weird colors of the Open Space program. This is our superintendent of Open Space, Colleen Langan McRoberts. Dustin, our Bosque manager. Jonathan, who's a visitor service manager. And anyone else I missed? Oh, Leroy Sandoval. Leroy's up documenting for us. These are the folks who take care of the Bosque with our partners every day. Okay, so let's bring these around.
Don't rub us in, Dave.
Right? Point them down. You learn your proper tool safety, right?
Indeed.
Put it down.
Give it to the child.
We want to give the child. Before we say this, want to say this. BEMP, does everyone know what BEMP stands for, right?
Yes.
Best Environmental Mentor, period. All right, let's do a three. Let's do a countdown from 3. 3, 2, 1. Look that way. Very nice, well done. We'll follow you, sir, this direction.
So I did meet your
Oh, so we.
No. I was on, no. I mean, we were just keeping posted.
Okay. You're like, what are you doing? I said, if you want us, we're our next group of Bosque students who are going to help us here. Into the shade or inside? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Change of plan. We got to be flexible. Anyone who still wants to walk can walk, but I think you want to hear the music. But I just want to read the title. You can come up and read the. Well, I'm going to read the whole thing. Here we go. The title says, Dan Shaw, Legendary Porcupine Whisperer. And I just want to tell you, not many government signs have that kind of nomenclature on them. So they even had to convince me a little that we needed to do it in the spirit of the person we're honoring. And I want to thank the Bosque students and for their encouragement on the BEMP program staff for their encouragement to make this sign reflective of the person it's honoring. Dan Shaw has dedicated his life to protecting and preserving wild places and educating his students to do science that matters beyond the classroom. From cottonwoods to porcupines, Dan's and his students' documentation of key species and habitats in the Southwest resulted in important management strategies for riparian areas along the Rio Grande. In his 31-year career as an educator, Dan has mentored students, teachers, and community scientists across the state. Over 100,000 students throughout New Mexico have participated in this collaborative work through programs at the Bosque School, Watershed Watch, the Bosque Ecosystem Monitoring Program, and the CEBRIN Field and Community Science Program. Fueled by a passion for wild creatures, natural spaces, and ensuring every student feels a sense of belonging, he is the spark that inspires others to love, investigate, and steward our precious home. It's the tiniest of things that connect us, says Dan Shaw. All right. So the paragraph was very much government speak, but we had to get it down and get it right. All right. Dan, you're in your spot. Do you want to say anything right now, and then not too long because we do need to go back inside.
Thank you. I'm humbled. I'm grateful for every student who has taught me to be a better person and a better student of this Bosque. And the students remain my best colleagues and best teachers. Thank you. And it's hot.
It's hot. All right.
Let's go inside. Thank you.
Back to air conditioning.
Yes. Good call.
Oh no, I'm so